Hey guys, I'm Audrey. If you're new here, if not, welcome back. Happy y'all are here. Doing like a full Q&A catch up. It's been more than 6 months since I've graduated college, but like 6 months of me fully being post-grad. I graduated May of 2024. So I wanted to kind of do like a 6-month check-in, talk about what my life has been like. 2024 was such a huge year. It's now 2025, but I feel like I'm gonna be like reminiscing and thinking about 2024 for the rest of my life. I did a bunch of recaps on Instagram, but I want to give y'all a little recap now. We got a YouTube waffle. Just wanted to do that for a cute little intro, but basically the bulk of this video, I asked y'all questions on the YouTube community chat and Instagram. Y'all had some good ones and I feel like it was perfect. It kind of like gives me structure of what I wanted to talk about anyways, so we're just gonna get into it. About how I've been feeling and just how life has been. I moved to New York. I forget if I've mentioned that in this video, or if y'all are new here and you don't know, I moved to New York. Our lease started on June 15th. So I graduated in May. Didn't move out of Austin completely till like mid-July. I feel like I was traveling a ton at first. Yeah, I'll just get into the first. We're gonna talk about my adjustment period and moving and everything. But first question, what would I have done if not New York? Gonna touch on this briefly. I talked about this the last time I talked about postgrad, which was before I graduated. It was probably at the beginning of 2024, like kind of around a year ago. I talked about how I was feeling, why I chose New York. But basically, I'm doing content creation full time, and I decided to do that probably a year before I graduated. I'm also gonna talk about finances and like budgeting and stuff later in this video, but after I decided that, I knew I could go anywhere, which is so great. That's like such an amazing part of my job, and like being able to travel and being able to live anywhere. But yeah, there was like nothing holding me back anywhere. I knew I didn't want to stay in Austin just because I wanted something different. I felt like I needed to move to be able to feel like I was growing, especially when I was working for myself. So I was set on San Diego and moving back to California for the longest time. And the more I thought about it, and more like people suggested to me, and also the more I heard of people moving to New York, I really started considering New York City. It didn't feel wrong. It didn't necessarily feel like perfect, but felt right. And it was easy in the grand scheme of things. It just felt like it was where I was meant to go next. Big part of that decision was the community. There are a lot of people who went to UT who moved to New York, and a lot of like kind of close friends that I had, not my closest friends, but my roommate Lauren, I knew she was moving to New York. I knew she was looking for a roommate, so that just worked out perfectly. A lot of my sorority sisters, my big lives there, just a lot of people that I knew I would have a base to start growing my like post-grad community. And I will say, at the beginning of like when I first moved there, I spent a lot of time thinking about what it would have been like, how I would have felt if I chose to move to California or just somewhere else other than New York. And I think that was just part of the adjustment period. Honestly, in that first couple weeks, I feel like it was me like wishing that I was somewhere else a little bit, just because New York was so overstimulating, so new. But looking back and in the moment, what would help me get out of that mindset was kind of reminding myself that I probably would have felt that anywhere if I would have moved somewhere else, or if I would have stayed in Austin. I probably would have imagined what it would have been like if I moved to New York. That is just kind of the reality, especially when you're not loving the place you were in and it's not perfect. It's easy for your thoughts to like go those places. Which leads me to my next question: have I adjusted to New York City? Honestly, the answer is still no, I feel like, but I've come a long way. Like this no that I'm telling you right now is way different from the no that I was saying in August or September. I thought once I moved in, had my room situated, and just started like real life, that I was gonna feel adjusted, and that was just not the case. It just took me a lot longer, and I think that was discouraging at first, and it made it feel wrong that it was taking me so long to adjust. But again, I think that's just post-grad in general. Moving to college was an easier adjustment for me because everyone was kind of in the same boat as me, and I was meeting so many people who were just in the same stage of life as me and doing the exact same thing in college, versus in postgrad it's just everyone is on their own path in different timelines, and my closest friends aren't in New York City and I'm meeting new friends. It's just a lot in that sense. And then also adding New York City on top of that, the city is very overstimulating to me. It's very loud. Gotten so much better now that I know the city a little bit more, but at first I would walk out of my apartment, I didn't recognize a thing. It was just kind of scary. It was like a big city and I was scared. That was like a big part of me adjusting, I think, was just like learning the city but also figuring out my life. And that's like why I still say I'm not necessarily adjusted, just because each season is different. I'm at my house in California. Probably should have adjusted that. That's why I'm in a car, because I don't have a car in New York. I was here for the holidays and I'm about to go back, and it's gonna be freezing when I go back. I'm originally from California and I've lived in Texas. I've never experienced a winter, and so that's just something brand new about New York City and just about moving somewhere new that, like, I don't know what I'm like in the winter. I don't know what it's gonna be like. I feel like I won't feel fully adjusted maybe until I have a full year under my belt, but I don't know. Something that's so exciting, but something that can add to the overwhelmingness of it all is there's so many things to do, like, in such a great way that there's literally everything you can imagine in New York to do. So many friends to meet, so many friends to like rekindle with who moved to New York. I want to explore. I wanted to do all of these things for my business, and like now that I'm working full time and I just have the time, but that can quickly build up, and on days when I just wasn't feeling the best, I couldn't get to that to-do list, and it still feels like I haven't gotten to that to-do list as much as I wanted to. And so I think that's a weird adjustment too. It's just like life doesn't look like what I thought it would. Not that I necessarily had like very clear vision to begin with, but it's just definitely one of those things where I'm taking it day by day, week by week, being patient about building my life in New York and just like my post-grad life. Someone asked, am I homesick? And the answer is no. I feel like the last time I really experienced homesickness was sophomore year of college. I miss college and I miss Austin and I miss being home. I miss California, but I'm not homesick, more so because I know what I miss about Austin is a lot of just what I miss about college. And so if I were to go back to Austin, it wouldn't be the same. And same with California, like my life isn't here anymore. And thinking about my homesickness sophomore year, that was really intense. And I think it was just because I was in a really bad place with friendships. I just really wasn't, I guess, like happy in a lot of aspects of my life. And so I think that really contributed to the homesickness, versus since then, those situations have changed and I feel a lot better about other aspects of my life, so it's easier not to feel homesick. But I will say this past year, I basically left in January to go back for spring semester, and I didn't come home to California until September, which is the longest time I've ever physically been away from home. And I saw my family a ton. I saw them for graduation, and like I went to North Carolina to visit my grandparents and they were there. Like, it wasn't not seeing my family, it was just not being physically home. Honestly, my dog too. My dog passed away earlier this year, and I just like wasn't prepared for that either. It was also so weird because it just like until September, until I came home, I just thought that she was home because I wasn't home, and so I didn't really like process that till September. Anyways, that was kind of maybe the only ounce of like homesickness, but that was more just like missing home. Again, I miss Austin, I miss California, but I love that I chose New York, and those places will always be there for me. And I know that a lot of the things and people that I miss about those cities aren't there anymore, and so going there wouldn't fix it, which helps me being okay with leaving. Someone asked, what do I miss about UT? So much. Just like college in general. I always remember being in college and older people saying like, oh, I miss college so much, and I'm like so one of those people. I was ready to leave college. Like, I knew we were gonna graduate. It was time. It's just such a unique point in your life, I feel like. One, I kind of miss learning. I kind of miss going to class, but only some aspects. The amount of time that I have now is so amazing. I do just kind of miss interacting with other people in classes, and I think that also comes with working for myself and not really having coworkers. I need to find that human connection and kind of those just like almost like acquaintance, classmate, coworker vibe people elsewhere, and it's not as easy. I miss everyone being on college schedules. I miss like being able to coordinate with a friend who has a 2-hour period off on Tuesday to go get lunch or something random, where everyone just kind of is on the like not a 9 to 5 schedule. It feels like there's so much more time in the day. Our lives revolved around college and the college events, our sorority events, frat events, like football games, sports games. That is just like a magical experience, and I think that's what makes college so cool, is that it just doesn't feel like real life. So much fun. So I miss that, which a lot of that I have found in New York and just in a different way. And I also miss the food in Austin a lot. I'm missing Cabo Bob's, just like some of my classic places that I was eating out for the past 4 years. I miss. How do I stay in touch with friends? Okay, so I moved from Texas to California when I was in 8th grade, and then I went out of state for college. So I feel like I have a lot of experience in the whole long distance friend situation, especially because even when I was living in Texas, one of my best friends moved to Indiana. Like, we kept in touch. I feel like I've always been good, or maybe not even good at, but like used to long distance friendships. And I would say maybe I'm not the best textbook wise because I don't talk to my friends every day. It's hard for me to text and call and find time, especially when there's different time zones involved and like people's 9 to 5s and whatnot. But I will say I am good at being able to make the moments that we're together, whether it's one long phone call every other month or something, or like one trip or like one weekend together, making those moments really count and like really mean a lot, and to where the friendship, even though we haven't talked in a while, still feels like it's there. My best advice would be not to force it. I feel like at the beginning of postgrad, me and my friends were trying to text in our group chat so much more than we used to, and that's just not how we are, and that's just not what we were used to. And so we've done some things where, well, one, I've been able to visit them, which is so fun. That's like one of my favorite parts about postgrad, is like being able to go visit my friends and like see them thrive in their lives and hearing about how their lives are changing. We've also done a few like Zoom calls where we'll talk together, and like we have to plan those literally weeks in advance because we're all so busy, but that's a great way to all catch up. Or just every once in a while we'll get into a texting mood where there's like one night where we're just texting a ton. And so kind of just being flexible about it. It's not going to be as consistent as it was when I was living with my best friends, because I think part of that is also we're trying to find communities in places we live in. Even though the quantity is less of just like how much we talk, how much we see each other, does not mean the quality is down at all. Okay, someone asked, am I enjoying life more now or when I was in school? Which I thought was an interesting question. I think something that you have to do about enjoying life, or when you're thinking about if you're enjoying life or trying to enjoy life, is not compare it to the past. And so I just have not thought of that. Yeah, in school, there were so many good things and I was so happy in school, but and also postgrad, it's so different, but there's also so many good things, and I still am happy in postgrad, even though the adjustment was hard. There are hard things and like a huge change about postgrad. I think that the happiness in my life doesn't necessarily come from specific circumstances, and I think it took me a while to have that mindset and get in that mindset in the past couple of years. And I've always been like this, but journaling more and like praying more or manifesting more, however you want to put it. I put it as praying more, but journaling and prayer has really helped me stay centered and just like really honestly have a way more optimistic outlook on life. And when I'm stressed or I'm feeling negative, journaling it out really helps. Yeah, that's just how I've helped with my mindset, to where I feel like my mindset has been really strong and really optimistic, to where even when I'm really struggling in New York, especially in this first couple months where it was just hard for me to adjust, I still wasn't necessarily unhappy. I was just like, I was so happy with my life. I was just maybe like not loving where I was, maybe. I don't know. Some of these things are the first time I've like actually said it out loud, and I've like written down notes that I keep looking at, but I don't know. So that's my answer. Oh, I also wrote down to this question that when thinking about my college life and leaving college, I was ready. I remember graduating, and I think I've said this in content before, but I knew I was going to graduate. I knew there was an end date to college. I knew that wasn't going to be my life forever. And so I was ready. I got everything I wanted out of college. Like, I truly had the best experience. There's nothing more I could have wanted from that. It's just kind of moving forward and hoping and praying that I have that same experience in New York and any other city I live in, or just in the next couple of years. When I look at it that way, I do have excitement for like what the future holds for me. What is the best part about postgrad? I wrote down a couple of things. I've kind of mentioned them. Visiting friends, seeing them thrive, seeing people in new eras of life. One is really weird. I think that's part of a difficult time of adjusting. Postgrad is that, again, everyone's on different timelines, whatever, but it's also really cool to see people living out their careers and like doing such different things and meeting new friends and getting to learn about their new friends and friend groups and stuff. It's just, I really like that aspect of it. And I also have been fortunate enough to be able to go visit people, or like they've come to visit me, and like showing them aspects of each other's new lives is really cool. I think for me, another great thing about postgrad is all the opportunities, especially with how much time I have. I've always done this job with school, and so this is the first time that I don't have to stay up till insane hours of the night to edit because I have time during the day. And with that comes with like a lot of scheduling stress and everything, but just having more time is so valuable. And moving to New York really was such an amazing like business decision for me. There are so many opportunities there, and I've met so many people and have had such great experiences. That's like one of my favorite parts too. I also, just some more context to just how I feel in this whole video, is I think I've always kind of welcomed change, and I'm not scared of change. And that's why I wanted to move to New York. So that is also just like, I like the season of change, and I like the post-grad part of it. And maybe if you don't like that, I truly think your mindset can change. Like, there's just so much excitement about change and just so much opportunity, and like I have learned to look at the unknown with more excitement versus anxiety. And I think that's also has to do a lot with my faith and trusting in God and just trusting that everything happens for a reason. Other than that, I wrote things I'm grateful for in postgrad and like things that have really gotten me through. This is one, my roommate, Lauren. The fact that we met freshman year at a workout class, and we were like kind of strictly workout friends for a really long time, and now we're living in New York City together. We have an amazing apartment. Prayed a lot about finding an apartment, and it just really, like, all my prayers were answered. I love our apartment. Thankful for the UT community. That's really big and just easy to meet people through, and also just kind of reminds me of college a bit, like especially on game days. We have this bar that we all go to. It's like all Texas fans. I run into a bunch of people I know, and we're just all, it just feels like I'm still in college. Just thankful for the support, my health, safety. Like, there's so many things that have been so great about the past couple of months. Okay, someone asked, are you financially independent from your parents? And another person asked, like, how do I budget, especially with an inconsistent income? I am financially independent from my parents. I will like fully admit that in college I wasn't. I would not be in the point that I was today without that, and so I'm very grateful and like privileged to have had that. Basically what I mean by that is, like, in college they paid for my rent, they paid for my tuition, and so with that and the fact that I was still doing this job and still basically making, especially in the last year or two, a full-time salary, I was able to save a huge chunk of that. And that's also always been my personality, to like save money. So I was able to save and invest a bunch so that I felt confident going into working for myself and kind of this inconsistent industry. What I mean by inconsistency is, like, I don't have a steady, predictable flow of income. Like, I don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks. It really is dependent on brand deals, and like sometimes you don't get paid out for brand deals for like 3 to 9 months. Like, it can be kind of insane. And so having that savings is really helpful in case just like things don't line up and there is a lull in what's coming in. That's why I felt confident doing that, not only just because I'm making the same, if not more, of what I would do if I got a job, but because I already had so much saved that in case this type of job was gonna work for me. Does that make sense? As for budgeting, I'm working on that. I think that my instinct is to save money, so I feel like I don't really have it feels like to me I don't need to budget as much, even though it is smart and wise to know what's coming in and out. So I've been using the app Copilot. It's very helpful showing what comes in, what comes out, a lot of budgeting. It's taking me a while to figure out like what I want to budget, the categories, and like how much I've spent. So I've kind of just spent the past couple of months seeing what my cost of living is, like how much I spend on what, and then what's reasonable to budget. So yeah, that's my finances for you a little bit. Budgeting, I could be better, but Copilot is really worth it. It costs money. I'll put my referral link below because I think I get like a free year if like 3 of you sign up or something, but for me it's been really worth it. It also sends me notifications when I'm like close to reaching my budget, or also if there's like a huge charge or like a random charge to help with fraud and stuff. So I've been liking Copilot. Okay, someone asked, do I struggle with a lack of direction? Which, yes. I think that postgrad is weird in the fact that in high school I kind of knew what the next step was, and especially in this type of career it's not really clear what the next step is, and there's no right answer, and there's a million answers, and there's no right timeline, and nothing's set in stone, so that can be scary. I think that it's just taking me a while to maybe not cope with that, but just like get used to that feeling, and like of just my future's out in front of me and I can do whatever with it. And one of my goals for this year is to really get on a schedule. I feel like I talk about that all the time in my vlogs, and it's just something that I've come to the terms that it's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take me a lot of trial and error to figure out what works for me. But I think once I have a little bit more of a routine down, and I have a routine but like not really, and just seeing what works for me. Like for example, over the summer when I first started working, maybe in like August or September, I was trying to stick to a 9 to 5. I'm gonna try to be normal like a normal job, 9 to 5, and I realized that that does not work for me, just because sometimes I like editing late into the night still. I mean, that's what I've been used to since I started this. Sometimes I like to just like chill and go shopping in the middle of a Tuesday, make up for like working on a weekend or like after 5, and so having that rigid structure didn't work for me, and so just trying to figure out like not having too much of a non-structure where I don't get stuff done, trying to find the balance in between the two. But yeah, that's one of my New Year's goals. I wanted to finish off this video talking about like my 2025 goals and plans. I feel like I talk a lot about my content direction, and I know in one of my last vlogs like someone commented my like videos have kind of changed. I know they've changed in the sense that I've moved to New York obviously, but I feel that too, of just like I don't really know what my editing style is at the moment, and I think part of the like inconsistency and fluctuation of that is just me figuring out what my life looks like in New York, and so it's hard for me to like creatively direct and edit my life when I don't even know really what I'm looking at completely. I'm gonna say that's my excuse for that, but I am trying to work on that and just finding the love of editing and vlogging again. Not that I don't love it, but just like in a new style that inspires me. That will hopefully be like fun, good content for y'all to watch. I also really want to start a jewelry company this year. I've kind of was in the works of very beginning figuring out what that would look like at the end of last year, and I just had too much going on that I couldn't dedicate enough time that I wanted to it. So that's my goal for this year, so stay tuned for that. I also want to continue growing my other business, the Sorority Sister. It's an online rush consultant company, finding more time to expand and grow that in the way that me and my business partner want to. So yeah, but another huge goal of mine, I really want to stick to a once a week posting schedule on here and really get more consistent, and I think that will also help me with my like creative, like what my vlogs look like, just really getting into a routine. So yeah, that is my catch up. That's my life. That's how I've been feeling. Thank you all for asking questions and like watching this and being interested and nosy into my life. I love it. I head back to New York tomorrow, gonna edit this video on the plane and have it out to you on Friday, so make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications if you aren't already. I'm trying to post on Fridays at noon Eastern, but open to other suggestions. I don't even know if Fridays are like a good day. Go follow me on Instagram as well. I'm really thankful for y'all Like, y'all are the reason why I have this job, that I'm able to do this, that I was able to move to New York, and I'm so grateful for y'all, and I'm happy that like so many of us can grow together. If you're in college now, or going to college, or like about to graduate, or you are in your post-grad era, I just feel like I've always been able to grow with y'all, and I love that, and I feel like y'all get me so much, so I'm very thankful for you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!